Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Humanity Matters Weekly. I am your host, Dr. Philip Fletcher, where we would discuss and reflect on faith, philosophy, and nonprofit leadership and social issues. We want to engage ideas on what it means to be a free human being in pursuit of human flourishing. It is a brand new week, and so welcome, everybody. January 24th. All right. This is being pre-recorded because when this show airs on Sunday, I will be in Northwest Arkansas handling some business. And so won't be taking any live chat messages on tonight. But as always, you can send me an email at humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. And you can have the opportunity to be in the mailbag. And so we are going to take a lot of those questions tonight, and got 3 on the docket. And you want to participate? Hit me up. Humanity Matters Podcast at gmail.com. Humanity Matters Podcast at gmail.com. As always, hey, jump over to the website, philipfletcher.org. There you can subscribe and get some updates when new essays post. And what I like to do is give out free content as well. Have some great slide decks coming out over the next couple of weeks to help you continue to pursue human flourishing. And as always, find ways to be love, kind, and to be generous in 2021. So again, slide over to philipfletcher.org and I would love to connect with you. Hey, find me on YouTube. You can see all of these shows on the YouTube channel, as well as other lectures, talks that I've done, either virtual or some past things that I've done, so that you can get an understanding of where I'm coming from, things I like to talk about in a more formal setting. So go over there, YouTube channel, subscribe, join the Humanity Matters family. And then you can go over to wherever you get your podcast content, look up Humanity Matters Podcast, right? Go over there, subscribe, whether that's on anchor.fm, iTunes, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast content, go over there and subscribe so you can keep up with the weekly content. Typically, those podcast episodes go out every Monday, and sometimes I give a bonus one throughout the week. And I would love your support, as well as leave a review. Those are always helpful. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, hey, I love all the stuff, because that helps me be a better person, and also helps me focus on that content that people are looking for in their daily lives. So go over to the Humanity Matters Podcast and subscribe and leave a review. Hey, always looking for sponsors. Go over to PayPal, pfletcher73@gmail.com. Hey, $5 helps, $10 helps, $20 helps. Anything to continue the work that is going on here, and to be able to produce some things. How I use that money, I got a new microphone, got a new camera, got some improved lighting, continue to work on that. But as well, also it goes into my publishing as well. Got 2 books out there, working on a 3rd. You can go over to the website, look up the content tab, and you can see 2 of those books, and working on the 3rd one right now. By the way, support, sponsor, pfletcher73@gmail.com. And if you want to run an ad on this as well, I would love to connect with you. So hit me up. Love to connect with you. And again, as always, if you got a email or anything like that, hit me up at humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. That's humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. It's a great week. Got some interesting guests coming up. So on, the 21st, Sunday, February 21st, 2021, Dr. Rachel Ferguson. I will be interviewing this outstanding scholar. She is the director of the Liberty and Ethics Center of the Hammond Institute. We're going to be talking about enterprise, entrepreneurship, talking about the Black community and prosperity and a lot of great things. And so join with me on Sunday, February 21st. That will be at 5 p.m. I'll be looking forward to talking to Dr. Rachel Ferguson. And if you got a question, I'm sure she would love to take that as well. And so that'll be available here as well as the Humanity Matters podcast. Then on Sunday, March 14th, 2021, I'll be sitting down with the former 2020 Libertarian Vice Presidential candidate for the United States of America, Spike Cohen, and we are going to talk about the ABCs of libertarianism and lessons learned for running for national office. And so looking forward to that sit down with him coming Sunday, March 14th, 2021. Come, join us. It'll be a great time. And now, the book of the week comes from a beautiful saint, Christian, an example, Saint Mother Teresa. And she said this, and I quote, "There is hunger for ordinary bread, and there is hunger for love, for kindness, for thoughtfulness, and this is the great poverty that makes people suffer so much." Profound words from Saint Mother Teresa. So what can we take from that? You know, it's very understandable, especially during this time coming out of COVID and, you know, still in it, that there are people obviously who are struggling, you know, with getting food on the table, right? You know, we got homeless people out there, persons in low income situations, even people in middle income situations who may have be facing this for the first time. But Mother Teresa also wants to point our hearts toward those who are suffering for a lack of kindness and a lack of, you know, generosity, right? That we would take a moment to give in that way. That we would not only pay attention to the physical needs of individuals in our home and in our community, but then also we would pay attention to the emotional hunger that people are experiencing as well, right? This is a way that we can serve the whole person. And obviously we want to do this in a way that is humanizing, a way that respects the agency of each individual and family that you would interact with. And so, again, pay attention to the physical needs of individuals, but also pay attention to the emotional needs of individuals as well. And so just to revisit what Saint Mother Teresa has said, there is a hunger for ordinary bread, and there is hunger for love, for kindness, for thoughtfulness. And this is the great poverty that makes people suffer so much. And so let's find ways to alleviate suffering, not just physical suffering, but also emotional suffering, giving people love, being thoughtful in how we speak and how we respond and how we would serve somebody else. Let's use love and thoughtfulness and caring and all types of generosity to alleviate the suffering that is occurring in the life of somebody else. And so that quote of the week comes from Saint Mother Teresa. Profound woman, a blessing for not only my life, but I believe for the whole world. So again, if you got a question, Humanity Matters Podcast at gmail.com, Humanity Matters Podcast at gmail.com. I'm your host, Dr. Philip Fletcher, with the Humanity Matters Weekly, and we are about to jump into the mailbag right? And so again, if you want to be a part of the mailbag, send me a question, Humanity Matters podcast at gmail.com. Also, you can inbox me over on my Facebook page, Dr. Philip Fletcher. Dr. Philip Fletcher. I'll take them and I'll look through them and find the most interesting ones. And so, mailbag comes from David, right? What are your thoughts on Arkansas HB 1218? So, HB 1218. So, the here in Arkansas, the legislature, they have started to meet in Little Rock. The session has begun, and a Republican House state rep, all right, put forth a bill to restrict or prohibit the teaching of what would be considered the 1619 Project, all right. And the 1619 Project was a series of writings, collection of things that were put out by one of the major newspapers. I'm not going to mention them because they don't sponsor me. I'm not going to give them free advertising. Hey, but you can look it up, 1619 Project. Okay. The 1619 Project seeks to essentially recast the foundation of the United States of America. Historically, we have been taught and we understand that America was founded in 1776 as a response to the taxation without representation and other things that were going on in relationship between the British Empire and the colonies here. And so Thomas Jefferson writes his Declaration of Independence. So that's why we celebrate July 4th, 1776. There was the war, the Revolutionary War that happened. The colonies gained their independence and then the development of the United States Constitution. The 1619 Project seeks to posit a different historical understanding in which the foundations of the United States of America is not to be understood in the Declaration of Independence and everything that it encapsulated, right? But needs to be understood in the shadow of the slaves that landed here in 1619, and that what is sown in the DNA of the United States of America was not first liberty and freedom and the pursuit of happiness and all those things. Rather, it needs to be understood primarily in the shadow of slavery. Okay. Now, what we see coming out of what we see specifically in the 1619 Project is a consequence of this theory that is called critical race theory, right? Critical race theory developed in late 70s, 80s, coming out of Harvard. Whereas it should be grounded more in philosophy, it started more from a legal perspective. Okay. So I would encourage people before making a judgment on HB 1218 is to get an understanding of critical race theory. Look at all what each side is saying, right? Look at what was put out regarding the 1619 project. That's a product of critical race theory. All right. Other products of critical race theory are writers like Ibram Kendi, Robin DiAngelo, White Fragility, works like this. All right. Even a lot of the framework that is being used to um, address what is categorized or described as America having systemic racist institutions comes from an understanding of using critical race theory. So it is understanding what that theory is, and that'll help you understand where the 1619 Project is coming from and all these other works that have become popular within the last few years. Okay. And it gives an understanding as to why there is the put forth of this legislation. Now, I'm not making a judgment either way on this legislation. I'm just giving some introductory information that would cause you to go and research for yourself so that you can make up your own mind. Do I have concerns about the bill? Yes, I do. I'll talk about that at some future point. But it's necessary for us to get an understanding, I would say, first of critical race theory. All right. Second, get an understanding of the 1619 Project. You can understand some of the other ancillary works that are products of critical race theory. And then I would encourage, especially my viewers here in Arkansas, to reach out to your state reps and ask them what do they understand about critical race theory, 1619 Project, what the bill is seeking to advance, what critical race theory, 1619 Project, what it would seek to advance within public schools, right? Get better informed and then make a informed decision. So, hey, great question. Another question from the mailbag comes from Daphne. And here's her question. I am really finding it hard to have any level of with anyone who voted for President Biden. I believe he is going to carry out harmful policies in our country. Help me understand why people would vote for this man. I guess Daphne's she has a hard time understanding, all right, why someone would vote for President Joe Biden. So, Daphne, great question. And I think many people are wrestling with this. People who voted for the other individual, right, are having a hard time understanding why someone would vote for the opponent, right? I think it is important for us to sit down with people that we know who voted for, the candidate whom you did not support, and ask some very thoughtful questions as to why they chose to vote for that individual, whether it was the former president, Donald Trump, the current president, Joe Biden, or the libertarian candidate, Joe Jorgensen, or Kanye West, right? Ask them why. People have their personal reasons. They have policy reasons. Okay. They have familial reasons. Okay. They have economic reasons as to why they went into that voting booth or submitted a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot. Okay. As to why they voted the way they voted. Now, each candidate has a set of policies that they were either wanting to continue in the case of former President Donald Trump, or that they wanted to enact in the case of our current President Joe Biden, or Joe Jorgensen, or the other candidates, okay, depending on where you live in the United States. And so those policies, right? One of the things we have to ask ourselves are these policies in keeping with the Constitution of the United States, are these policies seeking to, okay, so we have to understand that there's this relationship between the state and the individual, right? Are these policies giving more power to the state, or is it giving more or returning more power to the individual, right? Now, there's some who would hold that the state should have more power, and there are others that would sit some more in the middle, right? Some kind of teeter-tottering balance, and there are some in another vein who want to see the state have in the state regarding the federal, okay, since it was asked about the president, that its powers only be in line with what the Constitution of the United States clearly enumerates, okay? So sitting down with somebody, getting an understanding they are, right? Looking at those candidates' policies, right? Looking at your opponent's policies in light of the Constitution, right? Look at the opponent's policies in light of the person that you supported for, right? Um, and I think more often than not, there are more everyday American citizens who have more in agreement than we are led to believe. And we can come about realizing that by sitting down with one another and having these discussions. So I hope that is helpful. Don't get discouraged, Daphne. You have the opportunity to make headway with people where you live. And so I would encourage you, whether it's on a phone call, I would discourage you from doing text messaging or anything like that. If you can't get face to face with somebody in real life, if you will, right? Do a phone call so you can hear their voice, or some type of video interaction like on Zoom or Google Duo, something like that, where you continue to interact and have that discussion. And in having that discussion, hear one another, right? And again, I believe we'll find we have more in agreement than what we're led to believe. Where the difficulty comes is in the execution, right? So again, some feel as if more of the execution needs to be done by the state. Others feel that the execution needs to be occurring among private, everyday citizens. So great question, Daphne. Great question. Finally, from Anderson, do you prefer Marvel or DC? Ooh. Ooh. Hey, you see behind me? I like Star Wars, right? But also, you can't see it. I like DC and I like Marvel. Collect a lot of comic books. I'm a collector. I like collectibles. I like to build Legos. Okay. Legos is Star Wars, heavily Star Wars, right? I've got some Funko Pops, Star Wars. You see, I got the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda and others. But also, I collect Marvel type stuff as well. You know, with the super huge success of Marvel's phases 1 through 4. You know, I've got some statues and a lot of Funko bobbleheads and things like that. I got the DC 52 series, Justice League, and so that's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman. Okay, so I got that 7. All right. So in terms of what they produce media wise, I like what Marvel has done, their cinematic universe, and what they're doing on Disney Plus, right? As far as DC, it's been hit and miss. Okay. I love the DC animated universe. That ended with Justice League Apocalypse. I don't know what the new thing coming up is, but that was some great series of movies. It started with Justice League Flashpoint, and it went about 18 movies and climaxed with Justice League Apocalypse. And so that was awesome. And so it began with a Flashpoint. That's the Flash running back in time to change an event regarding the loss of his mother. And then the final DC animated universe movie, Justice League Apocalypse, ended the same way with Constantine telling the Flash to run, Barry, run, right? And another Flashpoint happened, and it ends with the Trinity. And the Trinity is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman looking as, the screen changes as the Flash does what he does. So from a live action standpoint, I prefer Marvel. They're running away with it. Animated, I prefer DC. Comics, it's a pretty mix. I collect a little bit of everything. Superman, the Avengers, Justice League, Captain America, then some specials every so often. And then Lego wise, I just love Star Wars, grown up Star Wars since 1977 when I saw A New Hope for the first time. And great memory with my dad. Much love to you, Dad, in Louisville, Kentucky. Be catching up with you soon. So, hey, that was the mailbag. I appreciate y'all and sending in your questions. And so, again, if you have any type of questions, just hit me up. Email me, humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. That is humanitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. And so when we return, we are going to talk about understanding all sides of an idea or position. Be back in a few minutes.
Imagine you have it all.
A warm bed and a full fridge.
No want, no worries, and no fear of tomorrow. Then disaster strikes. Your world is turned upside down.
You are now broke, hungry, trying to survive.
This is a story of people like me.
Like me.
Like me.
Like me.
Like me.
And people like you.
Now picture this, a community of compassion, a place of second chances. You can give a home to the homeless here in Conway, Arkansas. Learn how at www.hopevillagecoho.org. Thank you for making hope happen.
Hey, welcome back to the Humanity Matters podcast. I am your host, Dr. Philip Fletcher, where we are talking about faith and philosophy, nonprofit leadership, and social issues. We want to engage with ideas on what it means to be a human being. Hey, go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I'd appreciate the subscriptions. Leave a comment, watch other videos, like, share those. It would be amazing for you. If you want to become a sponsor of the Humanity Matters Weekly, have a commercial ran, anything like that, hey, just hit me up on PayPal, pfletcher73@gmail.com. I would love to profile your business, your nonprofit, anything like that. I get a pretty good reach on this show and just love to share the love. All right, so hit me up again. PayPal, pfletcher73@gmail.com. As little as $5. $5 goes a long way. I know how to stretch it. And go to my website, philipfletcher.org. That is philipfletcher.org. And so let's talk about ideas. Everybody's got an idea about something. Okay? You could see the sunrise, you got an idea about it. You can see it raining. You got an idea about rain, right? You see a problem in your neighborhood or at your job or school. You have an idea which can lead to a solution, right? Needless to say, all of us got ideas. Now, consider when 2, 3, 4, 100,000 people, right? Let's keep it small, right? 4 of y'all have an idea about a particular subject, okay? Now, how do we have a civil and kind discussion, right? Kind meaning not being a douchebag. That's how I like to say it, okay? How do we have a discussion about a particular idea and then your position, okay? So I want to offer you 3 things tonight. 1 is about our humanity, 2 is about education, and 3 is about just talking, right? So humanity, education, and then talking. So 1, it's the recognition, right, that we all have a common humanity. We were, if you will, brought from the earth, from a Christian perspective. In fact, most of the majority of the major religions assert that humanity, all right, we all have a common origin, okay? From the Christian perspective, taken out of the earth, right? We all have the image of God in us. Now, even if you're not religious and say you want to adopt a, evolutionary understanding of human beings, even that, we have a common humanity, okay? So whether you're religious or non-religious, we can all agree that all of us are related. Martin Luther King said they were inextricably tied together in this mutual web, right? South African concept of Ubuntu describes it as we're in need of one another, right? I cannot be who I can be unless you can be who you're supposed to be. We have this commonality. We're tied together, right? Now, us having this common humanity does not diminish the fact that we're all individuals too. And so because we're all individuals and we have different experiences, we have common experiences, right? We also have very unique and different experiences, right? We have unique places where we have grown up. These and many other things influence how we can look and think about a particular idea, and it can influence how we arrive at a particular position. So let's not forget, men and women, we have a common humanity. So the second thing is this: knowing that when these 4 individuals sit down with one another, this is the hard work of education, right? So it is important when you want to talk on a subject to say, we want to talk on the subject of a widget, right? A widget, WIDGET, a widget, right? Do the hard work on your position about that widget, okay? The history of the widget, how that widget came to be. Those who offer positions that support your position about that widget, your understanding of how that widget is being used, right? In a variety of areas. So make sure you are educated on your position about that widget. But then also, again, sitting in a room of 4, right? Having a understanding about other positions about that widget. Because while you may look at that widget one way, somebody across the table is going to look at that widget in a whole different way. So it's getting an understanding of those other voices that are contrary to the voices that have informed you. Understand how they arrived at what they are proposing or their conclusions as well. Understand why they look at that widget the way they do, right? And so if you've got 4 competing versions, while you're going to be you should be thoroughly engrossed in your position, have a familiarity about the other positions as well. How did these develop? How did we get here, right? To where we've got these 4 different ideas and positions about a widget. Are you all right? Are you all wrong? Right? So it's important to understand how you arrived at this point. Okay. Now, here comes the hard part, talking, right? Talking. Like we live in a period right now, this kind of the spirit of the age is talking at one another and not talking to one another. The spirit of the age right now is to have multiple people talking at each other. Whereas where we should be having one person talk and the rest of us actively listening to what is being said. So we have to practice some sympathy here, right? And that sympathy can be practiced as one person is talking. We are remembering that this is a human being who is talking to us. We have something in common. 2 is acknowledging your position, but also acknowledging how important that position is to the person that is talking. And so as that sympathy is being cultivated, we have to be actively listening, right? So actively listening, one of the things it involves is that as individual B is communicating to me, I am intently paying attention to what he or she is communicating about their position. What I am not doing is hearing what it is that they say and immediately formulating an objection to what is being said. We should be, if we've done our homework, right? We should be saying, hey, you know what? I found agreement in that. I agree with you. I found agreement in that. I agree with you. That one, still not clear on that. This one, I'm not so clear on that, right? That's actively listening. And in fact, even restating back to that individual what is they have communicated. And finally, knowing this, that in these talks, agreement is not necessarily the goal at that point in time. And in fact, you may not agree. You can still get up from that table and say, hey, I see the widget this way. You see the widget that way. That's fine. Then the question becomes, how can we have these different perspectives work together to achieve something? Now, I got it. There's going to be some perspectives that's going to be completely antithetical to one another, and they're not going to, this is never going to mold, right? Doesn't mean we got to beat people over the head about it. Doesn't mean we got to act crazy, as long as, there's no implementation of ideas that is going to take somebody's life or take somebody's property or seeks to put them in a position where it dehumanizes them, right? There's some ideas where you can merge, right? You can be modified. There's some ideas where we're just gonna have to just walk apart, right? But what we're not going to do is depersonalize or dehumanize one another. So understanding all sides of an idea or position is very important. And I think that's going to be very helpful for us in 2021 and all the other stuff that's going on right now, right? We have to find opportunities to remember we have a common humanity, that we need to educate ourselves not only on our own position, but also the position of another concerning a particular item. And then talk to one another through sympathy and actively listening and understanding you're not going to walk away in complete agreement. And that's okay. It's okay. As long as you ain't trying to hurt nobody, take anybody's stuff or anything like that, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Yeah, so, hey, this is the Humanity Matters Weekly. I am your host, Dr. Philip Fletcher, and we are coming to the end of our broadcast for this week. Again, check out my website, philipfletcher.org, philipfletcher.org. Go to the YouTube channel, and you can subscribe there and see a lot of great video content. You can catch up on all the episodes previous to this. You can go watch the first season. All right. I would love for you to subscribe, leave a comment, be a part of the discussion. All right. As always, the Humanity Matters podcast on anchor.fm or Spotify or iTunes or wherever you get your podcast content. I would love for you to subscribe, listen to all the great content and interviews. Working hard on that to provide value to everybody that participates. And become a sponsor, pfletcher73@gmail.com, pfletcher73@gmail.com. And as always, if you want to participate in the mailbag, Humanity Matters Podcast at gmail.com, Humanity Matters Podcast at gmail.com. I appreciate each and every one of you. I would have you to remember, all right, that we can be love, we can be kind, we can be generous. And if we remember to live in hope, we can do the impossible. Y'all take care and God bless.